Monday morning. It is the 13th of August. I hope your day is off to a great start. You found us here on the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller, and today we're going to talk about a lot going on across the country. We've got some interesting stories from around the world. Let's jump into our top weather headlines, some of the topics we're covering. Once again, just like yesterday, I did not change a word of this top line here because parts of the Midwest have been battered again with strong storms. I had the National Severe Weather Outlook, and I will tell you, Iowa at this moment seeing very intense thunderstorms. They've had some warnings. There's a watch up. We'll break all of that down, and then we'll talk about the severe weather chances for not only that part of the country, but other areas as well today and then into tomorrow and Saturday. So that's coming up. We're also tracking the latest in the tropics. It was funny. I got home it was right after the shows. I was going home. I got an update on my phone that Cristobal had formed, kind of a heads up from the Hurricane Center. I thought, oh, maybe that's the one that was down there with like an 80% chance of development approaching the Lesser Antilles. Cristobal was actually an area that we were watching yesterday in the North Atlantic that had about a 50 or 60% chance of development. That was the one that the Hurricane Center said, nope, it looks tropical. We're going with that. So Cristobal formed, no threat to land. It's already weakened. But we are watching this other area that still has a pretty good chance of development as it approaches the Caribbean, and there's another one on its heels farther to the west. So we'll break that down. In the Pacific, there are two systems that are ramping up. One became Hernan. The next one could become Isel. So we'll see if that one develops, and that is likely to impact Hawaii this weekend. A lot to track in the tropics. Also, the U.S. Drought Monitor just updated. We'll let you know how the country is shaping up and how Puerto Rico's doing. You know, they've been in drought. They've had water rationing. They've had some really serious freshwater issues down in Puerto Rico, so we'll have more on that. Also, more wildfire news. Volcanoes erupting in the U.S. and around the world. We've got two different eruptions we'll show you, and that total solar eclipse. So awesome. I've had the pleasure of experiencing two of them here in the United States, and totality, well, they had it in other parts of the world. We'll show you what that was like coming up. We're going to start off, though, talking about severe weather, and you can see where those storms are rolling right now. I'm going to have a lot more on this in just a moment, but it was parts of Indiana that saw a 1 in 1,000-year flood on Wednesday. Water rushed into homes, roads became impassable, and hundreds had to evacuate. Reed Binion reports.
So we got a lot of damage across the state.
Indiana's governor addressing the impact the latest round of severe weather in the Midwest has had on his state. Storms unleashing catastrophic flooding.
It's pretty amazing. I've never seen any kind of flooding like this in this area ever.
Heavy rain and flash flooding inundating homes and businesses, turning streets into rivers, and submerging vehicles as drivers were overtaken by high water.
I never really expected anything of this severity to come along, and I guess you just never know when it's going to happen.
The force of the rushing water causing roadways to collapse. The storms uprooting trees and leaving hundreds of thousands of Indiana homes and businesses still without power Wednesday evening. In neighboring Ohio, storms unleashed similar flooding a day earlier, with some roadways still flooded Wednesday.
These communities have been hit exceedingly hard in a historic way. We have people who have lost everything they have.
The state's governor said one person died after suffering an emergency when first responders were unable to reach them. The governor also addressed a lightning strike that left more than a dozen people injured at a correctional facility.
It actually impacted 16 prisoners.
The dangerous weather in the Midwest also stretching into South Dakota, where lightning struck just feet away from two highway patrol troopers who escaped injury when a storm rolled in. I'm Reed Binion reporting.
Whew, that'll get your attention. Well, I'm glad those two officers were okay. As we take a look today, we do have the strong storms, and there's actually a watch that is out right now across central and southern portions of Iowa. That's where the most active storms have been. There have been numerous warnings across Iowa this morning. Currently, the severe thunderstorm watch includes the city of Ames, Iowa, Cedar Rapids, Des Moines, and Iowa City, the counties of Johnson, Lynn, Polk, and Story. About 1.2 million million people under this, and this is until 11 o'clock Central, 12 o'clock Eastern, so that's got a ways to go. Some wet weather down to the south into Illinois. We'll take a closer look at some of the other areas with some rain in a moment, but we do have this area under watch, and we've had multiple warnings. Earlier there was a warning and some really heavy rain, as I mentioned, around Des Moines. The heaviest stuff now south of I-80 down around Monroe, and then as you head out into the eastern parts of that region and over towards the state line, you pick up some very heavy rain here around Grinnell and back over towards Montezuma. Just approaching that area, it's all moving to the east. Now out to the west of that, earlier it was heavy around Omaha, but Omaha's on the backside up towards Missouri Valley. They've got some intense rain. All of this continues to work off to the east, so things are improving across Nebraska and western Iowa. Now, I mentioned there are some more showers across southern Illinois. We've had some advisories and even a flood warning right along the the Virginia-Kentucky state line, right out there, the westernmost parts of the area, just around the Cumberland Gap. As we take a look out west, some scattered showers back across Montana, parts of Wyoming and Nevada. We also have some rain back across southern portions of Arizona. As far as the severe weather outlook goes, maybe a little bit of wind back across Nevada and parts of Utah, but I really want to focus on this area here because once again, Iowa into Illinois, a level 2 or slight risk, and they are the one part of the country that is highlighted with that slightly elevated tornadic risk. There could also be some hail anywhere from Denver across southern Nebraska, much of northern Kansas, extreme northern Missouri, southeast Iowa, and then Illinois, Indiana, back into Kentucky and Ohio. If you're traveling 64 westbound today, you may run into some stronger storms across northern parts of Kentucky there. Looking ahead, wind also a concern. You'll notice Hampton Roads not under any outlook for today. Different story for Friday. You see the area of marginal or level 1 risk. This does include Hampton Roads as we take a closer look. It looks like from central portions of Chesapeake and Portsmouth on westward, that includes Suffolk. On the peninsula, you're under this marginal risk as well. Virginia Beach, Norfolk, and eastern sections of Chesapeake, as well as northeast North Carolina, not technically under that severe weather threat, but it is something we'll watch, and we'll see if the Storm Prediction Center shifts that at all within the next 24 hours. Looking ahead to Saturday, the storm threat again, similar area and out to the west of our region. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Coming up, hurricane season really ramping up now. We had 2 tropical developments form in the last 24 hours. I'll show you what I'm tracking and what could be next coming up. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. You know, it is starting to get busy in the tropics. Let's take a look at what we're following this morning. Your eyes should be drawn, if you watch these tropical updates a lot, to two different areas. Both of these looking more impressive from the satellite's perspective. I'll tell you, the Gulf's still pretty quiet. We also have a little flare up here in the Central Caribbean. That is not organized. And then off to the north, we actually have Cristobal, which is falling apart just as quickly as it develops. So we're going to focus on these two, and I'll just mention Cristobal quickly here in a moment. These two areas do have potential for development, and right now, some additional development is anticipated. You take a look. This one here has a 30% chance initially with a 50% chance of development over the coming week. And then we have this area here with an 80% chance. Now, this will likely, if it does develop, become Dolly. That's the next list, our next name on the list of names for our Atlantic storms. Cristobal up here has really weakened and fallen apart. You're not seeing as much cloud cover. It's pretty much done, but that is a system that has weakened and pretty much fallen apart. So we'll continue to monitor that, but that was never a threat to land. This one, which could become Dolly, could threaten certainly the Lesser Antilles, the chain of islands there. As it moves into the Caribbean. We'll have to see if it tracks through the Central Caribbean, if it were to move a little farther to the north. It may encounter some wind shear. We've been talking a lot about that as the models kind of indicate there will be some wind shear as we get into the weekend. As this comes a little farther to the west, it may have a hard time for a while. Eventually, if that wind shear lifts a little bit, that would allow it to come in. You know, Puerto Rico needs rain, and a tropical downpour would help. They certainly don't want the wind and the flooding and some of the other issues, but their reservoirs need it. I'll have the drought update on that coming up in just a bit. Now, as we turn our attention over to the Pacific, we do have a couple areas we're watching here. One is a potential tropical cyclone, number one here, and then we also have this area, which is, again, this was the outlook just before. Now this has since become Hernan. So I want to show you both of these. First of all, our potential tropical cyclone 1 has developed. You saw the outlook from yesterday, and now it's actually this potential tropical cyclone 1C for the Central Pacific. That's why it has that designation. Forecast to become a tropical storm. The next name on the list, Hernan, actually was used for that other system I'll show you. But this one could become Isel. That's the next name in the Eastern Pacific. So as it moves along, you can see it may directly impact the Big Island. The center should pass south of Oahu and Maui and the rest of the Hawaiian Islands, but it would still be a wind maker and potentially a significant rain maker. There's a look at the spaghetti plots. You can see how the models really concentrate a lot of it just south of Hawaii. But I will say, relative to what I saw earlier this morning, some of the models are trending back north. Folks in Hawaii need to be prepared for a tropical system to come through, especially Saturday into early Sunday. It'll pull away after that. And then we have Hernan, and Hernan's not very impressive. It is a tropical storm. It's forecast to weaken, so I'll mention it's out there. But those two systems, busy keeping us, actively tracking those two right now in the Pacific. All right. We want to remind you, if you want to get full hurricane and tropical information, there's no better place to turn to than the in-depth coverage you get with Hurricane Hub Live. Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandages, this is his passion, and he does a phenomenal job really breaking down the little subtleties of all these tropical systems, and he looks out. He's got sometimes some great hurricane and tropical trivia. It's all kinds of great information that's really interesting and extremely thorough. Catch that Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. right here on 13 News Now app. You're watching us on YouTube. You can download the app by scanning that QR code on your screen. Again, that will air tonight at 8, the next one, and it's going to be a great show. You can bet on that, and he'll have a lot on all of that activity. All right, we're going to take a short break. Dry conditions still plaguing parts of the U.S. We'll look at the updated drought monitor, which came out about an hour ago. Plus, not one, but 2 volcanoes that erupted this week. We'll show you that. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. We're taking a look at the brand new, just released Drought Monitor, and you can see the update still showing dry conditions from basically 264 northward for Virginia Beach, Norfolk around the Ocean View area, Chicks Beach, back down through much of Norfolk actually, and portions of Portsmouth as well. Some of Portsmouth out of that now. Chesapeake's in much better shape, but I wanted to give you kind of that cutoff between the still dry conditions and then areas that have had plenty of rain, and that really includes downtown Norfolk. Now, we had some of that flooding last week. You notice still abnormally dry for northern Suffolk. Now, once you get up to the peninsula, this is where we've got moderate drought, also parts of the middle peninsula, but we're doing better across the region, just abnormally dry across the eastern shore. For much of Virginia Beach, most of Chesapeake and southeastern Suffolk, no longer any drought. And as you look down to the south, northeast North Carolina in great shape as well. Across the region, there's still some extreme drought right along the Virginia-North Carolina state line. And there's still some exceptional drought for the extreme southern tip of North Carolina, but areas out west doing much better. The southeast U.S. doing better. Florida still dealing with drought. And again, coastal sections of South Carolina. Looking out to the west, there is still exceptional drought over portions of the Rockies back down into northern New Mexico and around the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas, and out west, still extreme drought for much of the West Deserts there in Utah, along with parts of the Wasatch. As you look out towards California, coastal areas in good shape, but it is getting drier again along the Sierras and back over towards Nevada. So we've been watching all of this. There's one other area we really want to focus on, and that's Puerto Rico, because San Juan and many parts of Puerto Rico now dealing with the drought. It has been extreme drought that has gripped portions of Puerto Rico, and right now 68% of the island is experiencing drought conditions, forcing more than 180,000 households to go without running water for 48 hours at a time. The governor of Puerto Rico says she is not sure how long the restrictions will need to stay in place. For now, FEMA is providing trailers full of water to impacted communities. All right, dry and windy conditions are still fueling those wildfires across parts of the country, and we want to show you this out west. Those fires continue. Still a lot of smoke for the north central and western northwest U.S. Members of Montana's National Guard are now helping fight wildfires in Washington state, which is experiencing its worst wildfire season in history. The crew will spend the next 2 weeks. They're going to continue to battle that, helping fight the flames from the air using helicopters. In California, thick plumes of smoke could be seen hovering over Placer County. The Talbot fire is now spread to a wilderness area just south of I-80, which is part of the Tahoe National Forest. As of Wednesday night, at least 16 acres have been scorched, and the flames are 0% contained. Finally, the Bug Fire and the Fred Mountain Fire have merged in California, right along the California-Nevada border. The combined footprint is now more than 70,000 acres, and it remains 0% contained. Terry Russell heard from farmers who scrambled to get their livestock to safety.
These pictures were taken by Mariah Freiberg as she was ready to evacuate her 3 horses, 3 dogs, and 2 kids. If her husband is watching, we can assure you she wasn't over-exaggerating the situation a couple of days ago.
Antelope Valley, so.
She came to the Livestock Event Center to keep her horses safe. Each day, more than once a day, you'll find her here cleaning her horses' stalls and making sure they're in good shape. Ask about her escape from Antelope Valley, and she says the fire was the worst she's ever seen.
It just blew up, and I saw it hit the road before me, and I was like, I gotta go. And I loaded what I could in the horse trailer. My sister rode out my last one, and we came here.
Thank you. Horses aren't tough to spot here. There are rows and rows of them, but other animals needed to be evacuated as well. There are lambs, goats, chickens, and even a pig. These are 2 sheep brought here by Kathy Spano. She also has 2 goats and a hen and 6 chicks, more than 30 chickens, and 5 horses. How did she do it? She says she had a plan.
We did. We had a plan. So that was really important because it all went so smoothly and I did not feel panicked at all. When we saw the flames crest our mountain and, and the wind was blowing, We just decided now's the time.
Those who've brought their animals here to the Livestock Event Center say the animals are in good company. They help each other out with cleaning and even feeding if need be. Hay and wood shavings have been donated. While many don't know what they will return to once the fires are put out, they know this is a safe place for their animals, and they are around people who are kind and generous.
People are sharing the resources like the wheelbarrows and the picks and everything, so it's been really great. Everybody here is super friendly and helping every one of us.
All right, we're going to turn our attention back to Hawaii. This week, not one, but two volcanoes began erupting once again, and we're going to start off going back to the volcano on the Big Island, Mount Kilauea. Check it out. Lava could be seen shooting out from Mount Kilauea on Wednesday. The volcano sits there on the Big Island of Hawaii, as it just showed you. It's been erupting off and on for almost 2 years now. This eruption marked the 53rd episode since December of 2024. Now let's take you over to Italy. Hundreds of passengers were left stranded in Sicily after Mount Etna erupted. Flights to and from Catania were suspended for hours due to the ash. Etna is the most active volcano in Europe. All right, coming up, thousands of people around the world got to witness a rare total solar eclipse. We'll show you the moment the moon passed in front of the sun. And as we look live outside, it's shaping up to be another hot and humid day for Hampton roads when our storm chances tick back up. Coming up in 2 minutes. Welcome back to the weather desk. You know, parts of the world, they enjoyed a rare total solar eclipse. You're looking at Spain here, and this is what we want to show you. Check it out. This is what the sights were like as the moon passed in front of the sun and the shadow passed over Europe. The path of totality covered parts of northern Spain, a small corner of northeastern Portugal, and part of Iceland. For Spain, it was the country's first total eclipse since 1905. A total solar eclipse is when the moon moves directly between the sun and the earth, casting a shadow on our planet and darkening the sky. The next total solar eclipse takes place August 2nd, 2027. All right, we're going to bring it back here to Hampton Roads and look forward to the weekend. You can see 86 for Saturday, 90 on Sunday. It's going to be mostly sunny and a little break from the heat here locally on Saturday, but Sunday it gets warm again. Travel conditions across the region not looking too bad. There might be a few stray thunderstorms later in the weekend for some of those locations to the north, D.C., Charlottesville, and Roanoke. Outer Banks, low to mid-80s. That sounds pretty good. As we take a look at the local satellite and radar images, we're in great shape as you're out the door. Temperature is going to be warmer this afternoon. You see the low to mid-80s. As we head into the afternoon, we're going to see temperatures up into the low 90s. Should be mostly sunny, very low risk of a stray shower or storm. I don't think we'll see too much there. Heading into your Friday afternoon, a little bit better chance for showers and storms by Friday evening. You see that coming through. So I'd say late afternoon or evening, there's a chance for isolated storms. And then Saturday looking pretty good, but the model does try to project a few stray showers. Sunday should be mostly sunny. Temperatures today topping out low 90s. As I mentioned, it will be a little cooler at the eastern shore, still warm in the peninsula and down around the Outer Banks. 89 there at the Outer Banks, temperatures low 90s inland. All right, a break coming Saturday, more heat through Sunday into Monday. I hope you enjoyed this edition of the Weather Desk. We'll see you next time.